What's going on, YouTube world? I am that dude named Dave, and I am back here with the Boxing Now podcast. Before we get started here, let me just do the house cleaning here. I need 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. It's a big goal, large goal, maybe a small goal to you, but it is my goal. So let's take a few seconds here so you guys can click on like, subscribe, and click on that bell notification below. All right, I gave you guys a few seconds there, so let's get into the video here because we know what you guys are here for. We're talking about Terence Crawford again. As you know, yesterday I had many hot takes about him, but maybe some things have changed. So let's get into it here. It's Terence Crawford, who is 38-0 with 29 KOs. He is the former unified 135-pound titleist at lightweight. He is the first undisputed junior welterweight champion at 140 pounds, and he is currently the WBO welterweight champion at 147 pounds. His last fight was November 21st at the Mandalay Bay, the Michelob Arena. Your boy was there when he knocked out Shawn Porter in the 10th round, sent Shawn Porter in retirement. And I have to say, like, if you can see my videos, I'm a big Shawn Porter fan, so it hurt me, but it was a good fight. So in the last video, we were talking about what is Terence Crawford going to do, because he is currently suing Bob Arum right now, as I talked about in an earlier video, for not properly promoting him and for racial bias here. So he just literally threw a blowtorch on Bob Arum in that relationship right now. So we know there's not going to be any fights there right now. And in my video yesterday, I brought the video of how Eddie Hearn and Oscar De La Hoya doesn't have any fights for him in their stable for DAZN. So where does that leave Terence Crawford here? I mentioned PBC, but he wasn't not trying to sign with them, with Floyd Mayweather Promotions, or being an advisor to Al Heyman. So we're looking at everything and saying, what is Terence Crawford's move? He is a free agent and he's made a lot of money in boxing, but from a political standpoint, he has made a lot of bad moves that put him in a situation here. So I had mentioned, was he going to be like Rigondeaux, who was a great featherweight champion, Olympic medalist, who had bad business savvy and bad people around him, and so that's why we don't know about him. So where is Terence Crawford going to be today? What is he going to do? Well, there's been some reports that Terence Crawford might move to 154. Now, I had mentioned this, that this might be a move, but this might be the smartest move possible. And why do I say that here? Well, like I just said, all the welterweights are with PBC and Al Heyman, and he's not trying to sign with them, and he is not trying to negotiate a fight, knowing the purses he made at ESPN. So he's on the outside looking in. But we have a fight coming up here between Jermell Charlo, who is the identical twin brother of Jermall Charlo. Now, Jermell Charlo is 34-1-1 with 18 KOs. Current unified junior weight male titleist at IBF, WBC, and the Ring Magazine, and WBA. I almost got that. He's got 3 belts and a ring championship title. So I apologize there. I almost messed that up there. And he's in a rematch against Brian Castano, who is the current WBO belt holder, who was 17-0-2 of 12 KOs. Now, their first fight last year, I have to be honest, I scored it for Castano, but it was rule of draw. So now I didn't think the rematch would have happened, because normally when you have an undisputed championship fight, all those belts on the line, normally after that fight, all the mandatories would come in line, the politics would come into play. But all the belt holders fell back and said, hey, we're going to allow this rematch to happen. So the winner between Charlo and Castano will be the undisputed junior middleweight champion of the world. So how does Terence Crawford come into play here? Simple. He is the current WBO champion, like I said. So that means that he needs to drop his title and move to 154 and automatically petition for a title shot, which he can do under the WBO rules. The WBO stipulate that a champion in another weight class, if he drops that belt and campaigns another weight class and submits to the WBO, he will automatically be elevated to the top and will be next in line for a title shot. That is the WBO stipulation when it comes to that. If you are a belt holder, you move to the next division, I don't care if there's a mandatory R in place for a year or so. That person's got to wait, because the former champion is coming to that new division and he has his title shot. So that is genius. If Terence Crawford finally uses the boxing politics to his advantage to get this here. So why would that be advantageous to him? Well, the biggest issue is that he's not selling. He's made $4 or $5 million minimum in the ESPN in his last several fights. There is no way he's going to get that kind of split in the PBC. So if you become a mandatory, You force a purse bid. Then you submit with your salaries that what you made the last few fights, where that it will be equal split, even to the point of 50-50, which what Terence Crawford would make against a Jermell Charlo, or he would probably be a 50-50 split against Castano. This would be the perfect angle. He doesn't even have to sign with a promoter. He could be on a fight per fight basis. So what are we laying out here? Basically what we're saying is that fight here, let me pull up when that fight's supposed to be happening here. We're looking at March 19th of the rematch between Jermell Charlo and Brian Castano. I'm recording this in February right now. So Terence Crawford can sit back. He has his lawsuit going on right now. Wait till next month to find out who wins that fight. Now, of course, he doesn't care who wins, but it'll be in his best interest if Jermell Charlo wins, because he is the bigger name. It'll be the bigger fight, and that would be the bigger fanfare for him. So you would literally have the former undisputed, junior welterweight champion, former welterweight champion, former unified lightweight titleist going against the current undisputed champion. And going into that fight, that is a fight that I could see Crawford winning against both Castano and Charlo. I can see, I'm not saying he'll walk through them. It will be difficult fights, but let's not sit here and think that he cannot win against both these guys here. So let's go a little bit long term here. Let's say that Crawford does drop his belt. He submits WBO, and then he automatically becomes the challenger for the winner of Charlo Castano. Then he beats the winner and becomes undisputed at junior middleweight. That leaves Errol Spence now at 147. He's fighting against you guys, which will be a 3-belt unification on April 16th. So we know that WBO belt will be dropped. We don't know what's going to happen. It'll probably go to some other things as well, but other fighters trying to fight it out from the WBO, trying to do their rankings. But if that were to happen, that would allow Errol Spence to be undisputed at welterweight, because after April, then it'd just be one belt left. Terence Crawford would be undisputed at 154. Errol Spence have the opportunity to be a 3-belt holder or possibly undisputed at 147. So I did a lot of word scramble. So what does that mean for a Terence Crawford Errol Spence fight? The same thing would apply. Even if Errol Spence didn't want to be undisputed, he'd be a 3-belt champion. He could drop those belts, move to 154, and automatically submit to be #1 contender, because he already had the WBC, he has the IBF, and he would have the WBA as well as the Ring Magazine. The WBC just recently with Tyson Fury and Dillian Whyte, when initially purse bids were 55-45, Tyson Fury submitted saying that I have made over $100 million my last 3 fights. Dillian Whyte has never made more than a couple of $1 million. We need it to be 80-20. And the WBC looked at it and said, you know what? You're right. It's not fair for Dillian Whyte to get 45%, which is the reason why we had the biggest purse bid ever in boxing history, with Tyson Fury getting almost $29 million. So we have precedents of the boxing organizations changing the purse bids to make it more equal if you've been making more money and you've been a name brand fighter. So for the last several years here, and I have been the one that stated that Crawford made a bad decision re-signing with ESPN. He made a lot of money, but he didn't get the fights he needed. And so he's in this situation. So now he can use the boxing politics to his advantage so that he become a mandatory. And then we can see him fight the PBC fighters. And let's say if he doesn't want to sign for a promoter, he becomes undisputed at 154, then he can go on a fight-by-fight basis here. He can fight the guys at PBC, whoever's at 154 at DAZN, whoever, Matchroom has or Golden Boy has, or PBC on Showtime and Fox. It's endless when you're the champion, but we know the big draw, what we want to see is Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. So if Terence Crawford, does this move, I hate that I'm saying that it's going to take another year for this fight to happen, but because of politics, if it takes another year to happen, if he does this route, so be it. We're in this predicament, and all we want as fight fans is to see this fight here. So I know I said a lot there. It is a lot of things here, and it's a few steps that need to occur, but it is possible that we could get the fights that we need. It's just the fact that the politics get in the way, and there is a light if the fighters, use these outs here as far as being purse bids and mandatories. So what do you guys, before I stop here, what this will also do with the major problem is the fact that Terence Crawford has been demanding 50-50 split. Errol Spence has been outselling him. He's about to do his fight in April 16th in Jerry World, which is a huge stadium. So I'm saying this for Terence Crawford's benefit, that if he becomes an undisputed titleist in 2 divisions and he beats a PBC fighter in Jamel Charlo, and then you force a purse bid, you can force a 50-50 split then at this point then. And no one will be on pay-per-view. PBC's Miles normally a guaranteed $1 million split, and then they can do the 50-50 on the pay-per-view and on the revenue, things of that nature. So it might be a little bit less on the guarantee, but it would force both parties to say, this is what we're gonna do, and here's the revenue split, and then let's get this money. Instead of right now, Errol Spence has every right in the world to say 60-40. So I am saying this, the fight can happen in Terence Crawford's benefit. It now, of course, it may hurt Errol Spence's pocketbooks because of him not getting a higher split. But at the end of the day, we're fight fans and we want to see the fights. So what do you guys think here? Click like, comment, subscribe. Tell me I'm off base. Tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about here. Tell me is this a good idea? But I'm that dude named Dave. It's the Boxing Now podcast, and we'll be back next time. Peace.